Joining us now, aviation expert and former Boeing engineer. He's Peter Lemme. Peter, it's good to see you, or rather have you on the show. Thanks for joining us. Okay, this new story from the Wall Street Journal. That door that blew off midair on that Alaska Airlines plane made by Boeing, Peter, some of the bolts were actually missing on that door when it left the factory? When the plane left Boeing's factory, the bolts appeared to have been already missing? How did that happen?
It looks like a work order failed to note that the door was being opened and closed, and so the work order to put the bolts back in is missing. Never happened.
Peter, so what is going on with Boeing? What are you hearing?
I think on the 737, exit door situation, the really troubling issue, number one, we're all grateful that nobody died or was seriously injured in this event. But in investigating it, we've already heard reports from both Alaska and United that they found a number of hardware discrepancies, loose bolts, so to speak, which is very troubling. This whistleblower report that's come through outlines the fact that the factory seems to be very much accommodating to what Boeing refers to as quality escapes, much more than we would have expected.
What does that
and
mean,
of course,
quality? What does quality escapes mean?
This is a way of describing a screw-up or a mistake. It's just a nice way of saying it, so to speak.
So what does that mean? That they have more quality escapes, meaning a breakdown in quality controls, and they don't care? They're not doing anything about it?
They seem to be willing to rework it. So normally the idea is to build the airplane right the first time and not have to rework areas that don't come up to spec. And it appears that more and more rework is being done on these airplanes than anybody would have expected.
So how bad is the breakdown behind the scenes at Boeing's factories? You know, the one in Washington State, the question is, do they go through a final inspection before they're put in the air? Because, a lot of industry officials increasingly believe that Playmaker's employees failed to put the bolts back on, but who's watching the store?
Well, there's a process. The airplane's made up of hundreds of thousands of parts, so no single person certainly could stand up and say that they've inspected it all. It takes a team of people. The problem is there's trust in that process that it's being done correctly and that the paperwork is complete. And I think the FAA at this point, their trust in Boeing is shaken and perhaps is completely fractured. And I think we're waiting to hear what the FAA is finding when they get into the factory. So
are you checking the type of plane that you're flying before you get up in the air? Say if you're going on vacation, are you doing that?
I've always paid attention to that, of course, and I do trust these airplanes. I think the finding of the loose bolts is certainly very troubling, and I would note that Boeing. I believe that they're still safe airplanes. I honestly do, but there's certainly a big gap right now in where they should be.
But what happened inside Boeing that led to these lapses? I mean, what happened to the culture inside Boeing?
Well, I think that goes back about 30 years. I would kind of put my finger on Phil Condit in the early 90s, pivoting towards share price as being the goal for the company instead of product quality. And I think that method mindset has proliferated by their choices in who's managing the company. And they've also lost a little bit of their willingness to really push the company forward. They're resting on their laurels and taking the money out of the company instead of investing in new products. The focus has been profit, not product quality. And I think that's the crux of the problem today at Boeing.
This could all be fixed, though, Peter, right? Final word.
I think it can be fixed, but it's not going to be a quick fix. It's going to take probably 5 to 10 years to turn this boat around fully.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for your analysis there, Peter Lemme. We appreciate you. Thank you for watching. I'm Liz McDonald. That does it for us.